Herbie is also in the Philippines. He's joining us from Tondo, which is the location that we added to our sponsorship program last year. Tondo is in Manila. And again, I met Pastor Herbie about 5 years ago, and through actually Pastors Ramil and Pastora Tess, who they're all really good friends, and we've just had again a wonderful God-given connection. And my heart, when I saw Tondo and the conditions that people live in, my heart just went to this place, and I came away from there feeling like, I don't know what we can do, but we can do something. And so Herbie, welcome. It's great to have you with us. I wonder if you could just share with people a little bit about your background, about your life before you became a pastor.
Growing up, I was born and raised in Tondo. And like what Esther said, Tondo is in Manila. And the area is one of the most densely populated in the world. And actually, us here in the Philippines, when you mention Tondo, it's one of the most dangerous places to live. And growing up here, I've seen enough hell here in Tondo when your father's the leader of the gang, also head of the gang in the prison. And so I became also like my father, became also the leader of the gang, been into so much violence, been into drugs, been really blessed by the connection of the Purim Trust, and now that blessings flowing through all these people in Tondo.
Now you're a pastor of a church in Tondo. Can you tell people how many, obviously the situation's a little bit different at the moment because of the quarantine, but before all of that, can you tell people how many people were attending your church and how many different services you were having on a Sunday?
We have 6 services every Sunday. We started at 8 in the morning, and this is where you see, like Roy said, that we're gonna wait for the people to go out first in the church. So you will see the queuing, the lining up of the people outside the gate before they can come in. It was because it's really full pack, and I think one of the reason why they are really excited for the Gospels because of the tools, and I considered really the impact, the help of the support from Purim, why the church is really growing this big, just because people really felt the gospel not just being preached, message not just being heard, but really being demonstrated to the community. And so the church attenders, we have, I think, 90% are poorest of the poor, coming from Happy Land, Aroma. When I mentioned Happy Land, that is the place. It sounds like Disneyland, but it's totally opposite. But 90% of poorest of the poor are attending the church. So we have around maybe 2,000 to 2,500 people right now. So we cannot do any mass gathering right now in the church. Yeah. So we do it online. We do house-to-house visitations, and we are giving out flyers. I mean, I'm transcribing all my sermon preachings, and we're giving out to the people house to house.
Yeah, and Sunday. We've been trying to describe to people a little bit about the living conditions in sort of Happy Land and those areas in Tondo that you're referring to. Can you briefly tell people a little bit about sort of the living conditions that the children live in?
They're in Happy Land, Aroma, all these places here in Tondo. They are the children or the family that are eating the leftover food, from the garbage. In Tondo, I think just $4 a day, $4 a day, like 200 pesos. And then having with a family of 10 to 12 people in the family. So usually the normal source of income of the people are pedicab drivers, construction workers, and scavengers. So these are the people who will share one noodles, put a lot of water, and 10 to 12 people are sharing for that one pack of noodles here. So and at the same time, especially right now, if I can just give you a glimpse or a picture of what is the conditions of the people while we are having the pandemic, because it's the most densely populated, where people live under the bridge, people live on the top of each other's house, even people live on the top of the tomb or the cemetery. It's impossible to do the social distancing, and it's impossible to do the disinfecting, and they cannot even afford even a single mask. The work that are being supposedly provided by the government are not happening here in Tondo. That is why we are so happy with the Purim Trust that they never failed, they never stopped helping us here during this pandemic. Where people are afraid to go, you guys are continuously sending, supporting nonstop, so that we'll be able also to do and to continue what we are supposed to be doing, even in the midst of this virus.
Yeah, we're so thankful to people's support for that, but also for you and your teams who are continuing to go out and minister to people and provide provisions to people in these conditions. And on top of that as well, recently you've had a fire that kind of swept throughout Happy Land and the surrounding area, hundreds of families losing everything that they own to the fire. And then having to sort of mass gather on basketball courts and things like that to sleep. What kind of effect has that had on the people that you know in those areas?
I never forget that day when fire broke out. They are already suffering in the midst of the pandemic, in the virus. Most of them are getting the food from the garbage, from the leftover food from the fast food. All the fast foods are closed. So have you imagined there's no food to eat? There's no work to have, not even a garbage to be collected. And then the fire broke out. So they have no choice but to gather themselves in the basketball court, where it's impossible to give them like a social distancing. So, I mean, it's devastated. I mean, the feelings of hopeless situation that they're already experiencing, the virus, and then the fire broke out. I mean, it's so hard to imagine how they are going to cope up with this. At first, when it was never been announced to the social media, announced to no one is helping, no one is everybody's afraid to be there and send help. And yeah, then Purim Trust sent us the money to build the houses of those people. We have 1,000 families been affected by the fire. And it's amazing because we are the first one. We are actually the first one who are giving out this help and building their houses. And then after we started to do something, suddenly just wave of when they saw that we are starting now to build some houses, giving them the rice, giving them the groceries, giving them all the needs during the fire. And it turned out this initiative affects the government, affects other organizations and foundations. And they started to do something.
Yeah, well, praise God for that. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, Pastor, but we want to say thank you for joining us. And also, for a reminder for anyone who's watching, that we had 13 of our sponsored children whose homes were lost to that fire and every possession that their family had. And thanks to those who have given, not only have those 13 homes been able to be funded and rebuilt, some of them are still being built, but not only that, but you've provided funds so that every possession that they had in their home pretty much has been replaced, brand new. And so we thank you for that. And on top of that, you've given us funds so that we could also send money to Pastor Herbie and he could buy a ton of rice to give out to multiple families there who are not even part of our sponsorship program. So thank you for joining us, Pastor. I will never forget the times that I've had with you in Happy Land in Tondo. I've just, the images of people that I've seen who live on the food that everybody else throws away, seeing people literally rummage through the rubbish bags, picking out mouldy takeaway, little bits of chicken off the bones, washing it, recooking it, and feeding it to their families. those memories I have are deep in my heart, and it's part of the motivation of what we do. So thank you for sharing your love for your community, for your people, and by God's grace we will continue to help them for as long as he wants it. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully you will join us again and we can hear a bit more from you.